So this is our deck, I guess, brunch for October 23rd, 2018. And it's just a couple bread bowls with chili in there. And I made that chili with apple juice to sweeten. And I'm having carrot, lime, and ginger juice, and then the cucumber afterwards. I have this Toy Story, what do you call it? Andy costume that I got for James, and it's big enough that I can wear it over top of winter stuff, and so it's the kind of costume that normally would be better suited to Alberta, because you can wear it over your clothes. I'm not going to wear this because it's silly and hard to stay on my head, or on my wig, which I think is a Marianne from Gilligan's Island wig, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I should drink this. And it's all settled and it's gross. I hate that. So I'm gonna get this off. I bet this will be less gross than had I just left it all settled. It's got some broth in there. Yikes. It's so gross. Normally I don't like to mix the carrot with anything because I actually like the carrot. So, I was going to mention, I watched Hotel Transylvania 3. Well, I sort of did. It wasn't very good, so I barely watched the other ones, 2 and 1. But I don't know that it matters. I watched this, and this wasn't very good. But one thing that was cool about it was the skyscraper had a wind turbine system in it, and James and I have been talking about why don't they do that, and we've been thinking about every so often we get into the discussion about the wind turbines and skyscrapers discussion, and like it just gets back to wherever we were the last time we were having it, and yeah, we've come up with some plans, but this looked really cool. Ours didn't look cool. But I guess people are at least conceptualizing the idea of doing it, because it made it into a movie, so it's bound to show up, so they don't need our help. Not that James and I will be able to figure it out to put it into practice anyway, because that's just a little bit unrealistic. So anyway, the movie was bad though, and ridiculous. I don't think anybody ever watched it. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to where I left off with Genius Foods. It's still kind of smoking hot. Maybe I'll leave it. So, I must have left off here. I don't know how to pronounce these things. Page 184, butyrate increases BDNF levels, promotes neuroplasty, and decreases inflammation. 185, study 1,600 adults studied for 1 decade. Those who ate most fiber were 80% more likely to be free of hypertension, diabetes, dementia, depression, and disability than low-fiber consumers. C. difficile is a pathogenic and antibiotic-resistant bacteria that causes profound diarrhea and intestinal inflammation. It's contagious and present in 2 to 5% of the human adult population. Antibiotic use is a major risk factor for C. difficile because these drugs decimate healthy gut populations, allowing the pathogen to exploit weaknesses in the microbial community until it becomes a full-blown infection. Fecal transplant is 90% successful in restoring health of those with C. difficile. Now, James and I had a discussion about this because I mentioned this when in his presence before, and I don't know if he's coming out now, so I guess we're not going to have a discussion now. Anyway, because he doesn't believe that this guy knows what he's talking about at all. Because James actually, when he was in Calgary getting his second stem cell therapy, then he got C. difficile, and they cured him of it. And so what he was saying was, at that point, he's like, his immunity's wiped entirely out. He has no immunity. That's the whole point of them, like, keeping them in isolation while they're giving them the stem cell transplant and stuff. And he said, so if it was really a superbug, then he wouldn't have made it. So, and he got over it pretty, I guess they gave him medicine, he got over it anyway. So he doesn't believe this. And I'm saying, well, you know, it could be that you still have it, just it's right now your body's not being overtaken by it. And so you're one of the people that's walking around with this, right? But he doesn't think so. So, I don't know. But what James thinks is that it must be that there are certain strains of C. difficile which are antibiotic resistant. He's thinking that's possible, but his wasn't or something, because he... So I think I told you all I needed to tell you about that. Back to this. Page 189, gliadin, one of the main proteins in gluten, looks a lot like a microbe to our immune cells. Antigens on foreign substances like gliadin can look uncomfortably, that doesn't make sense, similar to markings on our own cells, molecular mimicry. So our own tissues can become attacked in an immune response. Go ahead and... That's celery juice in the jar and cucumber juice in the jar. Don't have it if you don't want to.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's a little much.
So our own tissues can become attacked in an immune response. Transglutaminase is present throughout the body, lots in the thyroid. It gets attacked and ends up resulting in Hashimoto's and Graves' disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS. Fiber directly protects us against immune confusion because I'm having a tough time. SCFAs, like butyrate, increase production and development of regulatory T cells in the colon. These cells, aka Tregs, are immune cells which help ensure appropriate inflammatory responses by suppressing the responses of other immune cells, including those that promote inflammation. 192. Gluten will not completely digest in humans. The gluten breaks down into peptides which stimulate gut permeability. Zonulin is produced in the gut whenever gluten is present. It regulates the integrity of the gut. Bacterial endotoxin, lipopolysaccharides, or LPS, cross through permeable gut into circulation. Circulating endotoxin results in an acute pro-inflammatory response. It's linked to cytokine production and increase in oxidative stress. 193. Symptoms: lethargy, depression, anxiety, reduced grooming, retreat from the herd, and become sedentary. 195. Probiotics can reinforce the gut barrier, repairs leak. In healthy non-alcoholics, a single vodka binge increases endotoxin and pro-inflammatory cytokines in the blood. Alcohol inflames and increases gut permeability. Fructose increases intestinal permeability. Chronic stress increases permeability, as does excessive exercise. Fat, when consumed with sugar, cause leaky gut and inflammation. 196. Quercetin, a polyphenol in onions, capers, blueberry, and tea, and the amino acid L-glutamine decrease gut permeability. Fiber may be the most important in between epithelium and microbial cells, mucosa made of carb mucin. Minimize inflammation by keeping mucus layer healthy with probiotic fiber intake. The fiber feeds the microbes, which produce butyrate, which feeds the cells that create mucus, giving our gut lining more protection. A low fiber diet starves our gut bacteria, which forces them to consume the mucosal layer. 200. Probiotic foods help with social anxiety. University of Maryland study. 201. When lean mice were given obese mice microbiota, the lean mice gained weight. 204. He suggests showering less and hiking more to obtain a better microbiota profile. That's one thing I liked about him. He's a hiker. Women who have a dog in their home when pregnant are less likely to have children with allergies. Kids who grow up with dogs are 15% less likely to have asthma. Dogs increase microbiota in the homes. Rest to digest stress-free. 214. GABA and glutamate. GABA counterbalances glutamate. GABA calms, glutamate's exciting. They're the most plentiful neurotransmitters. 215. Depressed mice allow themselves to drown faster than those given probiotics, which tread water to stay alive longer. 216. Intense exercise boosts GABA and glutamate in the brain. Depressed people have lower levels of both. (217) Cold exposure boosts norepinephrine. Avoid glutamate in food to preserve neurotransmitters. Oh yeah, that's what it'd be. Balance. Acetylcholine needed for REM. My notes are, a lot of the time I'll just put things like symbols in to represent words, or I'll just put a short form of, I'll be like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Nighttime cold meds, sleep aids, OTC, and muscle relaxants block acetylcholine. Use of these drugs increase risk of dementia. Avoid anticholinergic drugs like dimenhydrinate, motion sickness, diphenhydramine, antihistamine, sleep aid, doxylamine, sleep aid, paroxetine, and antidepressants. Look to page 217 for the real words. Oxybutynin, overactive bladder medication. Choline is the major dietary precursor to acetylcholine. Need to eat 2 cups of broccoli or Brussels sprouts to get the same amount of choline found in 1 egg. 222. Serotonin is synthesized in the brain from tryptophan. 90% of the body's serotonin is found in the gut, not the brain. Lipopolysaccharide. is toxic to both serotonin and dopamine systems. LPS induces depression and neurodegeneration when injected into mice. 228, COMT gene produces catechol O-methyltransferase. This enzyme breaks down dopamine in the prefrontal cortex. Each of us inherits either two A's, G's, or an A and a G. Having two A's results in a 3 to 4 times decrease in COMT enzyme activity compared to two G's. If you have two A's, dopamine hangs around in the prefrontal cortex longer. The A allele is thought to be the warrior allele. Two A's tend to be neurotic and less extroverted. When worriers, that's the worrier gene, not the warrior. I got it mixed up. When worriers get a dopamine spike, they feel it more higher highs. Worriers perform poorly under stress, but better under normal conditions. More prone to depression, lower lows. I guess that's me. But more creative. The G allele is the warrior allele. They peak during periods of stress. They have better working memory, can be more cooperative, helpful, empathic. But they feel like they get less out of life than the A alleles. Genius food number 8, broccoli and other cruciferous. Sulforaphane is not a vitamin. It's a genetic modulator known for its activation of an antioxidant pathway called NRF2. NRF2 signals body chems to clear oxidative stress. Other polyphenols stimulate this pathway, but sulforaphane does it best. Young broccoli sprouts yield 20 times to 100 times the sulforaphane producing compounds as adult broccoli. But adult broccoli is more nutritious than the sprouts. 251, better sleep. Bedroom cool, warm bath before bed, eat more fiber, butyrate promotes deeper sleep. 259, carb consumption immediately turns off growth hormone production when insulin and cortisol are present at the same time. Example, after a high carb breakfast. Cortisol's fat burning effect will shut down and it will only exert its catabolic effect on your muscles. A morning meal should only consist of fat, protein, and fibrous veggies. Intermittent fasting is one of the best ways to jumpstart the NRF2 pathway. Fasting leads to autophagy. Damaged proteins are cleaned up, including damaged cells that could lead to cancer. 297, genius food number 10, almonds. Almond skin is prebiotic, rich in vitamin E, contain a lot of polyunsaturated fat, eat raw. 302, he has you clear out your honey and maple syrup. Doesn't like those. 325, Jamaican me smarter. I want to try that one, but I'm not going to use beef. I'm going to use shiitake mushrooms. It's a recipe. And I wrote down it's a great book. I want to read lots from his endnotes, so I'm going to look up a lot of this stuff. And the genius foods that he mentioned, though, I mean, he did a great job writing this, so when you get done reading it, you're like, yeah, I'm totally on board. And that's, part of the reasons why why I read these books is to feel that way, right? It's like a kind of encouragement to be healthy, or empowerment. You feel like I can totally do this, and then go back to your own ways, whatever. But at the same time, you have to realize, well, I shouldn't allow myself to be swept away by this. I have to actually research some stuff, and it's only a diet book. Honestly, as interesting, I took a lot of notes. I've read 2 notes that I've taken, and I would recommend everyone read this book. But at the same time, maybe I did point out the thing about C. difficile, how he said it's antibiotic resistant bacteria, and it's like, okay, well, more information on that, because I don't think he really knows. Neither of these people. I mean, the one guy, very handsome hiker and young, so I like, but I mean, really, he's a TV personality, health and science journalist. What's he gonna really know?
Scary. I don't know
and
which is worse, journalist or...
Then the other guy's an MD, which he don't
They don't
know
know about
anything about nutrition. So, anyway, the genius foods are EVOO, avocados, blueberries, dark chocolate, eggs, grass-fed beef, dark leafy greens, broccoli, wild salmon, and almonds. And there is no way, if I was only putting together a list of 10 foods that were genius foods, grass-fed beef would not make the cut. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't even think dark chocolate would make my top 10 cut. You know,
You're right about that.
like, there's no way that these are the top 10. Like, shiitake mushroom, put that in there instead of one of those, you know, and whatever. There's just...
Well, it might be true, but it sure seems suspicious.
Well,
The beef, the grass-fed beef, they have to be pretty good grass.
Well, still, you're going to have to
be
eat the
lean
brain.
beef.
You're going to have to eat the brain. If you want to get the omega-3 from the grass-fed beef. So don't be fooled by that, thinking, oh yeah, it contains omega-3. No, not unless you're eating the brain, it doesn't. You were really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want mine?
Don't worry about that. I'll have a tomato.
Do you want that apple?
Not right now. I think I'll have a tomato sandwich. I should eat a lot of those tomatoes. Tomatoes are good. I think they're a brain food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of like late breakfast.
Mm-hmm.